pleasure to introduce you to our first speaker today, Patricia McGarry. She is the coach for the lead management systems at Liberty Mutual. And we're so excited to have her today. My favorite fact about Patricia is her involvement with the women's Canadian hockey team as team manager as well as color commentator, which I'm sure there's lots of great things that she says there. She is engaged or has an MBA in operations and organizational behavior, as well as an MA in human kinetics, which that's, I think, pretty cool. So with that, please welcome Patricia.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So it's great to be at the inaugural Queer Women in Business Summit. Fantastic. Wow. I never thought in all my life I'd be at a Queer Women Summit. It's amazing. And let me start by saying, I thought the very scariest thing that I would ever have to do was really to come out at work. It's not. It turns out it's public speaking. But with the support, love, and encouragement of my wife, Maria, my colleagues, my company, Liberty Mutual, and of course all of you, I'm going to give it a go today. So bear with me. I work at a company where I can be 100% of who I am. I can bring my best self. It's a safe environment for me to flourish in. Not everyone in this room may have that luxury. Oh, I'm a lesbian, by the way. Forgot to say that. That's key. And we know all too well that just a few years ago, being out in the office was simply not an option in many or any places. So for many years, I brought, I would say, half of myself to work. Every Monday morning, each step closer to the office, I would literally suppress a part of my true self. By the time I walked through the door, ready to start my work day, I was mentally prepared to be in what I call the office mode. My work colleagues, who probably all experience this, would be talking about their weekend and ask me how mine was. And sure, I would talk about the things that I did, but I would never say I did it with my partner, with my girlfriend, my wife. I would always use that generic we. I hid that whole piece of my life 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. Well, maybe it was 10 or 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, but something like that. I basically hid that part of my life. I would go to work and I was very careful in what I said and what I did. Every action, every word, basically weighed, measured, wanting to be like everyone else, wanting to share how happy or sad or how in love I was. But instead, I felt as though I were just reciting lines in a script that did not reflect my whole self. Again, many of you may have experienced or done things in order to be accepted or to keep a job. But there's another side to me, my weekend side. Nothing seedy, I assure you. You see, my backstory is I grew up in Canada. I was a jock, still consider myself one. I love hockey. I have a master's degree in human kinetics and sports psychology. And I wasn't using it, but then one winter day, or maybe they're all winter in Canada, not compared to Boston now, I have to tell you. One fine winter day, a friend of a friend gave me a call and said, hey, you played hockey, didn't you? And I said, yeah, I did. Why? And she said, well, you know what, we need an instructor/coach for a little program we're trying to get going for young girls. It's called the Learn to Play Hockey program. It's for girls 5 to 9 years old, and it was called the Mini Blades. We just need someone to fill in this week, 1 hour, Sunday morning. Come on out, it'll be fun. What, 9, 10 lesbians being role models? How bad could that be? So I agreed. Long story short, I found an environment where I felt safe to be my true self. That 1 hour turned into many hours. And within a couple months, I was teaching, coaching, and directing the program. The program became a successful model nationally. I became a master course conductor and then was able to teach others how to run and coach in the program. And my success also led me to an offer to become the operations manager for the Canadian women's hockey team. And I was being my best self. And that was volunteer work. It did not translate yet to my professional life. So that's what's important about this story. I never really sought opportunities in the workplace. I was in a grateful mindset. I was competent, but not confident to live my full ambition. I had convinced myself to settle, and that being a lesbian meant that I was not as worthy or not as valued. I continued to stop short professionally. But in an environment where I felt safe and valued for who I was, I brought my authentic and whole self, and I excelled. Somewhere on the heels of being my best self on weekends, I decided to return to school and get my MBA. I also decided that I would bring a bit more of myself to that task. So maybe now I'm up to, 3/4 of myself. I'm progressing. I thought, well, what's the worst that can happen to me? Well, what happened was I found another place where I thrived and succeeded. I found another place that valued and welcomed diversity. This is a turning point for me. I even started talking about my work life, and I was using real names, not just pronouns. I was on a roll. So after completing my MBA in 2000, I was determined again to bring my whole self to my next job. Determined to work in a place that would welcome my whole self, I found one and I started working with much more joy. I started making decisions about my career rather than following the path that had been laid out for me. I was choosing the places that I wanted to be. I was no longer settling. An incredible burden had really been lifted off my shoulders, and one that I think I did not even realize weighed so heavily on myself. Ironically, I've always had so much respect for women who never let society define who they are or the face they show to the world. And it took me a very long time to find my own courage. I saw myself as a very ordinary person. I let my capabilities carry me rather than taking an active role in exploiting them. I had put myself in a box, and I also internalized that it was okay for my workplace to keep me in that box. I know that I'm probably not alone, and that many of you or others of you may struggle to find your own potential. We might feel that what we do and who we are is not extraordinary. There's nothing special about us. So we don't challenge ourselves, and we accept what is given to us. And for those of us who don't fit inside the box society builds for us, we have an even higher risk of suppressing our energy and our talent. But I know who we are, each one of us. We're indeed extraordinary. That being honest and open about who we are and who we love is an extraordinary thing that we do each and every single day. Getting yourself into an environment where you can flourish as yourself is beyond a doubt the very best thing you can do. Everything else will follow. Being my authentic self, bringing my authentic self to work inspired me and gave a new energy to everything I did. And it got me noticed. When Liberty Mutual started a strategic program called the Liberty Management System, I knew that was where I wanted to be. I consciously knew that's where I wanted to be. My manager said my energy and experience were perfect for a coaching position in that group, and she recommended me. I applied, I interviewed, and I landed my perfect job. As a coach for LMS, my work focuses on the concept of continuous improvement. And what helps people to be their best self is my passion. I love it. The position has visibility with senior leaders. It has an opportunity to also present and teach to them. And most importantly, it fulfills me personally and professionally. That brings me to today. So why am I sharing my story with you? Because I believe in my heart that if you have and give yourself your best chance, and that you do that in a place that wants the best part of you, you will be successful. So with that, this is the marketing part of the program. Let me tell you a little bit about the company that I'm very proud of. Liberty Mutual does offer the opportunity to be 100% of who you are because it does provide a welcoming and accepting environment for the LGBT community. The hub of our LGBT work family is what's called our Pride at Liberty Employee Resource Group, or ERG. It was founded just over a year ago, and we now have 600 members. We were the first ERG, Employee Resource Group at Liberty, and our success has made us the prototype for 5 more ERGs that have been founded in the past 7 months. We are also sought out by leaders of those groups for advice. Through our work, we also participated or had the largest number of employees. I think it was 215 attendees at the Boston and Seattle Pride Parade. We even had a company-branded car. Huge for Liberty, I can assure you, a 102-year-old company. We've long been a sponsor of LGBT organizations and community events, including the Spirit Networking Dinner, the GLAD Boston Dinner and Auction, the HRC Boston Dinner and Auction Gala, and we were even one of 2 lead sponsors in those events. We provide competitive benefits for employees as well as their spouses and domestic partners, inclusive coverage, medical, dental, spousal life, long-term, vision care programs. We ensure that individuals in domestic partnerships, civil unions, and same-sex marriages are treated as married within our auto insurance rating programs in every state that the law permits us to do so. Working closely with our D&I, or our Diversity and Inclusion Group, Pride at Liberty played a part in raising our HRC Equality Index score to 85. We're working on 100. We've only been involved in that for 2 years. But we've enhanced our equal employment opportunity and anti-discrimination policy to include gender identity to both represent and actualize Liberty Mutual's commitment to its transgender employees. Of equal importance to those larger events is our online internal community, where Pride at Liberty members can share ideas. We have a Connect site, we can post news articles, distribute event information, and just have a place to virtually gather and support one another. We celebrate special events at Liberty Mutual through that site. We share ideas for LGBT marketing materials, and we provide resources to the we bring the LGBT message out to a broader audience. We can even get Pride at Liberty support posters that we can hang up in our cubes and buy a t-shirt that says Pride at Liberty. We have our own official logo. It's a big step for us. Liberty's always been a very open and welcoming company, but the past year has seen an explosion in activity due to the efforts of the Pride at Liberty ERG and our diversity and inclusion team. We're a company that really wants the best parts of all of our employees because we believe it's how we will be more competitive and innovative. We treat all of our employees with dignity and respect. It's a guiding principle. And we value a diverse and inclusive culture. I'm so proud to contribute to that mission on behalf of Liberty Mutual. And so in closing, my wish for you, find that place where you can be your best self, your whole and authentic self. Do not let yourself settle for less. 100% engaged, 100% of who you are. Thank you so much.